Dice Company contains fantasy violence, mature themes, and unapologetic bickering. No feelings were hurt in the making of it, but listener discretion is advised. Dice Company will always be free, but it's not free to make. Please consider supporting us on Patreon or Apple Podcasts and get access to our weekly roundtable show Extra Roll. Just follow any of the links in the show notes for this chapter.
Welcome one and all to Dice Company, where a group of old friends weave tales of triumph, heroism and despair, under the guise of playing Dungeons & Dragons. My name is Tom, and I'll be your DM through the continuing adventures of the Order of the Heron. Order of the Heron, please introduce yourselves, and, back by popular demand, please tell us one fun fact about your characters.
It's back! Hi, I'm Alex, and I'm playing Augustus Zeno, and Augustus has renamed his once-cursed sword from Ember to Amber. Amber is Aurora's middle name, given to her due to the rare amber colour of her eyes, which are especially striking because Aurora has jet black hair.
Hello, I'm Dave, and I play Benny Quez. Benny was recently invited to consider joining the Council of Rojan, which is something he's thinking about. Although he's only ever really encountered one council before, and that was the Council of Prefects at his orphanage as a child. This was a group of slightly older children who were given sort of semi-authority over some of the younger ones, i.e. keeping them in check and making sure they didn't cause any unnecessary trouble. And in return, the Council of Prefects received slightly better food and slightly fewer beatings. So as a result, Benny isn't quite sure about the whole concept of councils. Needless to say, he was never invited to join the Council of Prefects.
Hi, I'm Charlie, and I play Vander Finnick. And Vander loves councils. He was an active parish councillor in his younger years, and in his later years, he needs lots of counselling. Though sadly, there's no one in the group capable of such a complex feat.
Hi, I'm Harry, and I'm playing Tok, an imposing 6'8" automaton. And Tok has a pouch on his utility belt that currently contains a glowing pebble, a writing tablet, smelling salts, a talking crystal, a tithe document forgery kit, and biscuit-flavoured oil. Fortunately, Lenny the dog has yet to discover the biscuit-flavoured oil.
That was really a list masquerading as a fact, wasn't it?
I loved it.
Tok's into his listicles. I'm Tok, and I approve this fact.
Super duper. And remember, fantasy is a necessary ingredient in living. It's a way of looking at life through the wrong end of the telescope, and that enables you to laugh at life's realities. Just like we're about to, in the next chapter of Dice Company. Previously on Dice Company. The Order of the Heron are in Deepmond. You enter the city under the alter egos Blake, Avon, Villa and Aurak. Once inside, you followed a tip from Boffo and eventually found Halfair, a tiefling cartographer with plans to the high-security prison known as the Fingers. But he had been recently robbed by a gang of thieves who'd taken all of his plans and sketches. He agreed to give you a blueprint to the prison if you could get his plans back. Meanwhile, the defenders of Deepmond, the Knights of Scarlet, have seen their ranks infiltrated by a special sect who call themselves the Blackhearts. Under the leadership of a Warden Knox, they have aims to improve the Order, although you're unsure exactly what that means. Stood in Tok's room in the Mound by the Sea Tavern, you've just opened a mysterious box containing a time trap which was left at the Temple of Tyr. The aim appeared to be to paralyze whomever inhaled the toxic fumes caused by the burning of the Bouquet Garni. Augustus, Benny and Tok agreed to visit the Scarlet Keep in search of Commander Ironsteiger to see if they had any information about the gang of thieves, while Vander chose to pay a visit to the nearby Temple of Kale. It is midday, and you are all, except Tok, full of a delicious fish lunch provided to you by Benny.
You're welcome.
Vander.
Hello?
The people of Deepmond are milling around in the streets in the early afternoon. As you hobble along the streets towards the Temple of Kale, you notice holy people of various denominations filling the streets. Fawns of Landolin, dressed in loose-fitting togas, ringing tiny bells as they walk. Disciples of Epiphany, in their bright yellow robes, handing out alms to the poor. There's even a congregation of monks in midnight blue robes, all heads down, quietly chanting and marching in unison.
Vander walks through the street, enjoying the scene in general. He keeps his hood low so no one can see his real features. But Vander's enjoying the general sense of merriment and bustle after so much time in the wilderness.
You continue to move up the hill towards the Temple of Kale. It towers above the city of Dietmund like a foreboding beacon of worship. The Gothic exterior of the great temple looms ominously against the backdrop of the bright blue sky. Its imposing silhouette seems to swallow the sunlight. And as you enter the shadow it casts, the temperature noticeably cools. The great doors to the temple are open, and from inside you hear a gentle chanting.
Foolish as I expected,
Vander says whilst looking up at the austere visage of the structure.
Well, I've come this far, so onwards, I guess.
And the staff echoes as it clinks on the first step.
Upon entering, you are enveloped in a vast expanse of space, the echoes of shuffled footsteps reverberating against the cold stone walls. The dim flickering light of torches casts shadows across the cavernous interior. Macabre decor adorns this apparent sacred space, with ceiling-high curtains draped in every direction, creating a sort of spiderweb of material. At the center of the temple stands an altar, fashioned from polished, humanoid skulls.
God.
As you look around, you notice a smattering of locals on the pews throughout the nave. Their heads bow in reverent worship before the altar. The solemnity of their prayers punctuated by the flicker of torchlight, an ethereal glow upon their upturned faces.
I'm going to turn my hood down a bit more and try to keep a low profile here. But I would like to do an observation check. My aim is to see as much as I want to discern as much as I possibly can around this religion itself. Are we looking? I can see the skulls, obviously. I'm assuming that this is very closely tied to sort of human torture and sacrifice.
Give me a perception check.
Okay. 21.
It's almost certainly tied to violence, with torture and human sacrifice as elements of it. None of the iconography you can see gives any other impression. The worshipping flock, who look to you to be in an almost trance of religious fervour, are facing the altar, at the head of which stands a young woman in dark robes. She holds a golden staff adorned with intricate carvings, pointed with a skull moulding at the top. She has a short, neat side parting, and the sides of her head are shaved, and she cuts a striking figure against the dimly lit backdrop. She appears to be giving a sermon.
Vander makes his way up cautiously between the pews, with the aim of mingling and fitting in. He takes a seat I'm hoping is vacant and tries to blend in with the crowd.
Give me a performance check, please.
9.
You take your place at one of the pews. Those worshipping do not register your appearance, although the priestess at the front does, and she begins to address the crowd, looking occasionally in your direction.
Brothers and sisters in faith, let us gather in the presence of the Almighty, the flame that guides us through the dark. As we stand within the hallowed halls of this sacred temple, let us reflect upon the true nature of power and salvation. For too long we have placed our trust in the hands of mortal men, those vainglorious knights who strut around in their gilded armor, believing themselves to be arbiters of righteousness. But I ask you, brothers and sisters, what true power do these knights possess? Are they not merely mortals like you or I? Shackled by the limitations of flesh and bone, hushed into submission by the weakness and folly of their leader.
To your surprise, everyone surrounding you all chant in unison,
Yes, sister!
Vander's going to move his hood as if he's chanting with them, but I'm going to try not to use my voice.
She continues,
Behold, my brethren, even with the boundless strength and mercy of Kale, whose divine flame burns eternal in the hearts of all those who seek solace in his embrace, while it is he who grants us the courage to rise above our earthly trials and tribulations, to cast aside the false idols of mortal men and women, and guide to the true path of enlightenment. He also understands, better than anyone, the strength and authority of victory. The constant conflict of life is the righteous path to superiority over life itself. And without victory, we are nothing.
Yes, sister!
Oh, God.
So let us cast off the chains of servitude that bind us to the whims of mortal rulers, and instead turn our gaze towards victory. Victory under the banner of the god of war. Victory in the name of the undefeated, whomsoever the undefeated is, god or man, righteous or corrupt, raucous or hushed. For this is the way to true power, true freedom, and true peace. Victory at all costs.
Victory at all costs. For Kale. For Kale. For Kale.
I appreciate I may have to re-roll for this. I'm now looking for combatants. I'm obviously sensing there's a sense that this is going to turn into, it could be even a fight right now. How much weaponry is around me?
Give me a perception check.
Weapons check.
Anything's a weapon if you have enough imagination.
17.
The woman who is stood by the altar giving the sermon has a curved golden sickle attached to her waist. It looks decorative, perhaps, rather than functional. You also notice that there is a heavily armored man sat on the front pew. He has a huge great sword over his back, and he has black leather armor underneath his full plate.
Okay, so best guess, this is the leader of the Blackhearts. And he's, in terms of spacing, he's, 20 feet in front of me or so?
30 feet across the aisle on the front pew, sat front and center, effectively.
Okay, so not necessarily, or certainly not in his eye line just yet.
He is fully into the sermon, and he's on his feet chanting for Kale.
Low profile, check.
With the sermon over, the worshippers remain in place, except for a man in dark leather armor who rises from the front pew to speak to the priestess.
Well, is this a speech that I can only hear if I get closer? I obviously want to catch this.
But you're far too far away to hear the conversation.
Oh God. Okay, risk it for a biscuit. I'm going to stand up as if observing the intricacies of the hall in general and try to move a few pews forward. If there's a space where I can kind of cinch in next to another worshipper.
There certainly is a space. Can I have a stealth check, please? Or performance?
I'm going to get performance. 10.
You begin to shuffle forward, making a real show of kind of looking around and doing everything in your power not to stare directly at the conversation that's happening. You get forward maybe 10 feet towards the pew in front of you, and the heavily armored man stops mid-conversation. It looked like the conversation was getting quite heated, and he hears the shuffling and turns round and stares you directly in the face. He's got the Blackheart symbol on his armor, as you've seen with the other Blackhearts, although obviously his armor is black rather than red. His hair is neatly swept to one side, and he has a small, perfectly manicured moustache on his quite pale face.
Okay, and in terms of size, is he 5 times, 10 times bigger than me?
Eyeballing it, he's 6'2", and he looks like he does not skip leg day.
Okay, I'm going to continue the performance in the hopes that I can hopefully, he's going to look at me and then decide I'm not really worth considering. So I'm going to respectfully bow my hooded head.
Even with your head bowed, you can hear the clunking of his footsteps as he moves towards you.
Fuck.
Who are you?
I'm honored to be in your presence, sir. I am just an old traveler here to see the sights.
And Vander gestures around.
What a glorious homage to death you've created here. Truly magnificent.
And I bow again.
He squints at you. Are you a true believer? A worshipper of Kale?
I'm in the market for such things, certainly. I can't help but notice that your followers are most devoted, and I feel at home here in this place of rather macabre worship. Though I confess I know not enough of Kale himself to know whether I could be a disciple.
He looks you up and down. This is a shrine to the god of war, the god of victory. You, and he looks you up and down. Look at me, old man. Clearly you don't belong here. We do not harbor the weak. I am Warden Knox, the overseer of the city, and there are no depths I will not plumb to protect this site from outsiders and charlatans. So I ask you once again, what are you doing here? And I suggest you tell me the truth.
I'm in the presence of the great Warden Knox. This is a most auspicious surprise, if I may say so. Little did I know when walking in that I might be graced with your presence. As I say, though, I am not worth your time, not someone as illustrious and with such grand plans as yourself. If I'm right about your sermon, you do indeed have plans.
Give me a persuasion check.
13.
You are hiding your intent behind the silken words of a deceiver in a transparent attempt to glean information.
Fuck. Well, that's exactly what I'm doing.
And he draws his sword. Roll for initiative.
Right. Guys.
You have only a peanut gallery for assistance.
14.
Top of the round with Warden Knox. He swings with his mighty greatsword, but you are able to move out of the way. However, he has 3 attacks.
Oh my god.
16.
Oh my god. I've got a armor class of 14.
So he hits. Please take 4 slashing damage.
Oh god, he's actually okay.
And
right.
Vander's down.
This is serious. Okay, right, got it.
And his third attack, 14.
It's a hit. I'm going to use reaction. Yeah, I've got a reaction here for
Shield.
Yeah.
He strikes at you once, you dodge out of the way. He then slashes you across the chest with his second attack. And then with the third attack, the shield suddenly ripples around you and his great sword bounces off of it. You see his eyes widen.
Okay, right. Time to pull out, get out of here quickly, move. So I'm going to cast Misty Step. I'm going to Misty Step essentially towards the door, but just off to the left there. Okay, I'm in it. I'm in so far over my head and absolutely terrified. So my plan now, I'm not even going to fight here. I'm going to drink the invisibility potion that I had from chapter 5. You're not murdering me today.
So with a bamf, Vander disappears and reappears by one of the pews, ducking down behind it. He then pulls out a small vial from his pocket and glugs the invisibility potion.
You would still have a move as well. Sorry, peanut gallery, but action, bonus action. But yeah.
I'll allow it, seeing as he's one-on-one in the middle of the Temple of Chaos.
Also, just a very small thing, but it was chapter 9. It was wasn't it on the train that you got the...
It was indeed.
Look at the peanut gallery doing the Lord's work today.
The blessings of Tyr be upon you. I'm going to use my move to cower under the bench.
Warden Knox, with his mighty greatsword gripped in both hands, looks around. Where is he? Where's he gone? He turns to the priestess. Get the sisters, now.
Oh God. Okay. I'm looking to get out the main door if it's not guarded.
Warden Knox is moving in your direction and he's attempting to look for you. Give me a stealth check at advantage, please. The score to beat is 11.
13. Oh my God.
His hand reaches in your general direction as he grasps at thin air. You can see the detailed inlay of his gauntlet as it gets within an inch of your face, reaching closer before swiping away. Around you, the people and worshippers of the temple head for the exit in a mob. Vander, your turn.
Here's the plan then. I'm going to surreptitiously obviously I'm under the pew right now. I'm going to light the herbs and I'm at the same time with my visibility going to make my way away from the herb. So if he follows me, presumably he's going to come into contact with the smell of the herbs. For clarity, these are the herbs that they intended to knock out the worshippers of Tyr.
From your position beneath the pews, you light the garni and drop it on the floor and immediately scramble away, still hidden by the invisibility potion. With the sounds being made by the exiting masses, you slip easily towards the exit, beyond the hearing of Knox. A quick look back tells you that he's immediately recognized the smell of the garni as he moves back towards the altar.
Okay, well, I'll take the partial success that is, because he can't follow me in my desperate crawl for freedom.
One of the worshippers is not so lucky, runs past the billowing smoke from the fire, and after inhaling the fumes, immediately collapses onto the stone floor of the temple.
Score 1 for the Order of the Heron. In this non-combat. I'm going to continue to go for the door. I'm going to go full move, without any actions. If it looks like I can make the door before the rush gets there.
You can absolutely do that right now. You have just enough to get out just ahead of the rush.
And I'm out, hopefully.
And you head out of the open doors of the Temple of Chaos into the shaded area beyond, just ahead of the shambling mob of worshippers. Augustus, Benny, and Tuck, you are heading north following the road towards the Scarlet Keep and enter the northern area of Deepmond, where you are quickly surrounded by the towering battlement walls, which rise so high into the sky, casting long shadows over the cobblestone streets below. The sound of the streets is replaced with the clanking armour and steady stamping of heavy footsteps as the Knights of Scarlet patrol the area. Ahead of you stands the Scarlet Keep, which looks like an old fortress, even surrounded by a moat. The drawbridge is down, and the huge metal doors are propped open. Benny, as you are walking through the streets, you hear the voice of Boffo in your head. Aye, they think you're dead, all right. How lucky can one fella get? Lands on his feet, finds powers, can now hide in plain sight, and the voice ends abruptly mid-sentence at exactly the 25-word mark.
Oh, okay. That's not something to worry about then, particularly. All right, well, I relay this information to the rest of the group to let them know that we're able to travel fairly well incognito at the moment under our excellent assumed names.
You are stood before the open drawbridge to the entrance of the keep.
I would point out that Tok and Tick are customarily in their bag of holding at the moment.
Noted.
Periscope out so they can see what's going on.
In that case, Benny and Augustus, as you enter the keep, you can smell the mustiness of the ancient building. Immediately, you notice an automaton stood to one side of the front entrance. The automaton's chest is adorned with the Black Castle motif of the knights. It does not register your appearance as you pass by, however. Moving through, you'll find yourself in the Great Hall, a high-ceilinged open expanse of mosaic floors and decorative suits of armour, each looking battered and damaged. In the centre of the hall, at the heart of the keep, similar to the Temple of Kale, is a simple shrine. Its plain stone carvings sit at odds with the ornate glory of the rest of the hall. Knelt at the shrine is a mountain of a man, clad in gleaming armour with a pristine white cloak. He holds an incredible-looking greatsword in both hands, its tip pointed into the stone floor, his bald head resting against the pommel. He does not register your arrival, barely moving, but as you get closer, you can hear him muttering, and the stale smell of alcohol hangs in the air.
So, I guess we head up to him, and I might sort of clear my throat to let him know that we're nearby.
You clear your throat as you approach, and unmoving, he says, "What do you want?"
Hiya, good day. Do I happen to be in presence of, is it Captain Ironsteiger?
It is Commander, but is nothing more than an honorific title. We don't have any real power. We have failed this city.
How's that then?
We have failed to protect the city from the insidious nature of outsiders, from the Empire.
Am I right in thinking this is the Blackhearts that you're talking about?
It goes back further than the Blackhearts, to the war itself.
Go on.
We have been defeated. What more is there to say?
At this point, Benny kind of glances to Augustus to see if he's got any fancy words from a fine gentleman.
Forgive me, Commander Einsteiger, but I thought the Knights of Scarlet had never been defeated here.
We weren't defeated in combat. We held the gates during the Great Freedom War. But look at us now. We can't defend against anything. Empire lackeys infiltrate our number, and we have been forsaken by the gods.
Are you not the commander, Einsteiger? Is this not your responsibility?
What would you have me do?
I would have you rise from your seat.
He very swiftly, for a man of his size, gets to his feet. His sword clunks and rattles as he drags the tip along the stone flooring and turns to face you. At his full height, he is taller than you, Augustus, and he has a scraggly grey beard and bloodshot eyes. He looks shocked as someone has grabbed him so firmly. And who are you to talk to me like that?
I am a friend of the Knights of Scarlet. As a child, I read stories of your order, and I have come here to see it firsthand. I am not here to judge you, but you speak of your defeat and ask who will help you and what you can do. I pose your question back to you. Who will help you and what can you do?
None of the gods will help me. I've tried praying to as many of them as I can think of. It is not my fault you have been taken in by childish stories. We are fighters. We are knights. We have done our best, and we have failed.
There's nothing more you can do? No childish stories you might retreat to and regain some former vigor?
You find as you get older, you have little time for childish stories.
Curiously, I find myself with more time for those stories.
Good for you. And he begins to turn back down to kneel once again.
Why do you kneel, Einsteiger? I bid you once to rise.
Give me a persuasion check.
Metaphoric arm wrestle. Here we go.
He's going to do a charisma. 17.
Did a charisma.
Commander Ironsteiger gets back to his feet, and you can see his bloodshot eyes as he leans in close. I have risen, sir, as you wished, but I don't know what it is you want me to do.
Okay, so Augustus takes him roughly by the front of his shirt or jacket. I am an emissary of Tyr. You are going to help me.
Kane! Kane! You hear the clanking metal of full-plate armor coming from the eastern side of the Great Hall. From the shadows appears a towering Leonin, dressed in the familiar armor of the Knights of Scarlet. He has a beautiful blonde mane of hair which frames the white fur. The Leonin carefully moves towards the altercation, stopping 15 feet away.
Augustus does not let go of Ironsteiger, nor does he lose eye contact with him.
Oh, Benny does.
Benny seeps out of the building.
Benny is having a light panic about what Augustus is up to, and essentially making sure that he can get the bag of holding kind of ready to go should this all fall apart and he needs Tick and Tock and everyone fighting.
What is going on?
I am speaking to your commander. Hold your ground.
For what purpose?
Augustus now ignores this little man and returns his attention to the commander, gives him a little shake.
Pulling on Augustus' kind of cloak. Augustus?
Augustus renews his glare at Ironsteiger and says, Ironsteiger, it seems to me that you have had many chances, and I believe I am your very last. I told you I read the stories of the Knights of Scarlet as a child, and now I intend to walk on the pages myself. Will you raise your men to cast the Empire out of this city? It is your duty, sir.
Let's have another persuasion check. Do it at advantage, please.
17 again.
The Leonin responds.
He speaks sense, Commander. We should listen to him.
You can see that tears are beginning to form in Ironsteiger's eyes.
There's nothing I can do. I failed so many times. What if I fail again?
Any amount of failure may be expunged by a glorious death, Ironsteiger.
Or just a victory. Just a victory is fine too, no need for death.
But what if I fail again?
Then you can fail fighting alongside me, my friend. And your giant assistant here. I'm sorry, my good man, he turns to the lion guy, but I didn't catch your name.
I am Captain Kane.
Well, Kane, you seem like a fine chap. Anyway, we could shake your commander here into little life.
We have tried for months. The men grew eager for battle to put down the Blackhearts, and yet he does nothing.
And you can see that Ironsteiger's now like fully crying and he's kind of breaking down in front of you.
Ironsteiger, you have found yourself isolated here, I can see, and the weight of such responsibility would have worn down any man. But now it's time to wash the Empire from this city. We are going to leave this room and do exactly that.
Come, Commander. Listen to him. We have to fight back. The Blackhearts have been abusing their power for months. Now is the time to fight.
And Ironsteiger is now looking back and forth between Augustus and Kane. And you see, like, with tears falling down his cheeks, I can't fail again.
Then don't. Augustus kneels down, puts his sword point down into the ground, and says, Commander, I would like to join the Knights of Scarlet. I offer you my service.
Tock, in the bag, you hear Vander's voice through the sending stone.
I'm injured. Scarlet Knights about to be slaughtered. Come to the square. I'll warn them. In chaos, we get maps and maybe save a city too.
Meanwhile, Commander Ironsteiger looks down at a kneeling Augustus.
You would join the Knights of Scarlet? After everything I said?
I would be delighted, Commander.
Meanwhile, in the bag of holding,
Tock will reply, in Scarlet Keep. Commander crying. Augustus joining order. Will relay message.
Oh my god.
Benny, you notice a slight rustle at your belt. In the mouth of the bag of holding is Tock's tablet that relays Vander's message to you.
It's a shit day for Benny.
Then it will retreat in, and you'll see like Tock saying Tock's reply, and Tock's reply will be. You probably heard it, him talking actually.
Well, I communicate this to the group.
Commander, the Blackhearts are coming now to attack. a perfect opportunity for you. Lay a trap for them and set upon them when they come through your gates.
Einsteiger's eyes flick quickly from Augustus to Benny like he's thinking deeply on a problem. In seconds, he straightens his back. This has gone on long enough. He draws his sword up and addresses Augustus. What is your name?
That's a question. I am Fabian Augustus Zeno Denothlian, first son of Denothlia.
You've got to be kidding me.
Einsteiger's eyes widen as he lifts his greatsword. Then arise, Sir Fabian Augustus Zeno Denothlian, yes, Knight of Scarlet. And he places the sword either side on each of your shoulders. Men, get ready. It's time we took our city back.
Woohoo! Augustus draws 2 swords.
Benny, what is the plan?
I don't know why you're asking me, Tok. I'm not the one making it. Looks like we are having a battle for the city.
I will remain hidden for the time being.
Benny, I think we'll need every strong person we can get. Tok and Tick should definitely join us now, I think.
Okay, so I'll open up the bag of holdings to encourage Tok and Tick to...
Yeah, so now that they know that they won't absolutely crush Benny in the process, Tok and Tick will both make their way out of the bag of holding.
Einsteiger looks at the 2 emerging automatons, kind of raises an eyebrow, but really he's too kind of worked up now, and he's marching towards his men, trying to whip them up into a frenzy as well.
Query, Augustus. What is the plan for resistance against the Blackhearts? Suggestion, Augustus. We should concentrate the Knights of Scarlet. A concentrated force would have more chance of victory.
Tok, the plan is to wait here and gain the advantage of surprise.
A good plan. Agreed. And they gather up the men in the keep. Vander, you have scuttled out of the Temple of Kale ahead of the mob of worshippers, and you've used the sending stone to communicate the threat to the others.
I take it from the way that everyone was marching out after that rousing speech. I think the Knights of Scarlet are about to be massacred. I appreciate you can't. I will simply make that clear because I can't speak with the rest of the group. That's what I'm working on. Now, Tok's message. I feel like Vander probably wouldn't know that meant they were coming, so I'm going to focus my efforts on warning the Knights of Scarlet. But I do have 45 minutes-ish of invisibility left, right?
Yep.
Okay, right. In which case, I'm going to make my way to the square as scuttly and as quickly as I possibly can.
You move through the crowds of people on the street, making sure to keep ahead of any worshippers, and arrive moments later in the town square, still invisible to others.
In the square, I'm looking for a few things, but what can I see in general? How busy is the square?
The square is busy, being that it's the tail end of the lunchtime rush. The Mound by the Sea Tavern is doing a roaring trade with dozens of people spilling out into the streets beyond. There is a patrol of 2 Knights of Scarlet, walking carefully along the cobblestones and watching the locals. There is also a patrol of 2 Blackhearts, following a similar pattern, but in the other direction. You've noticed that other than the entrance, the Knights and Blackhearts do not work together in any capacity.
Okay. Oh, there's such a bunch of dicks. Okay. In the market stalls, what have I got? I'm looking for something that's flammable. That'd be good.
In amongst the market stalls, you can see large kind of vases of oil are available. You can also see the sweet stall that you saw before. There's a place which has lots of fruit on it. There's a place that's selling clothing.
First action, I'm going to attempt to pocket one of the vials of flammable liquid.
You're going to interact with something, so you can do that without breaking the invisibility spell. Give me a sleight of hand check, please.
8.
As you take the oil off the table, the vendor looks in your direction. Yeah, what is happening? Someone is trying to steal my oil. Hey! And he begins to call over the 2 Blackhearts that are nearby.
So I haven't been seen, but he knows the oil's gone.
Yes.
Blackhearts are making their way. Okay, I'm going to circle round to one of the nearby stalls, the fruit one you said was near. Now I'm looking for... This is awful. I apologise. This is terrible. I'm looking for an urchin. If that urchin from before is around, I will totally target him.
He is around. He stood up. I literally just rolled a natural 20. My first since the first of the session.
He rolled a 1, it would have been a sea urchin.
He's there currently gnawing on an apple.
Sorry, boy.
I'm going to pick up an apple from behind the urchin and chuck it at the back of one of the Blackhearts. Now, my hope in doing this is that they're going to turn on the urchin, and then when they try to waylay him, that is going to cause the Knights of Scarlet to have to get involved, and that will trigger it, and at least they'll be warned in the sense that they at least get to strike first.
So what I'm going to need from you then is a athletics check followed by a stealth check. Neither at advantage, because the moment you throw it, obviously that's an action, which then gets rid of your invisibility, so you're going to need to basically throw it and move quickly out of the way.
Okay, can I amend my action from the apple to be, can I call? Can I say something instead? Would that keep my invisibility?
Yes.
Okay, so rather than grab the apple, I'm going to walk up behind the urchin, and now I'm going to, in my best urchin's voice, I'm going to mock the Blackhearts.
They said you'd be tough, but you just look like a pair of cockney goblins.
Can I please have a performance check?
18! Thank all the gods.
You say the words, and the two Blackhearts who are walking towards the stall turn smartly in the direction of where the voice is coming from, and they see the urchin that you spoke to before, who's currently holding an apple in two hands, and he just smiles vacantly at them. What did you say? I think he was insulting us. Yeah, I think he was insulting us too. And they begin to march towards the urchin, and they draw their swords.
I'm going to stay in close proximity, but I am going to do nothing. Are the Knights of Scarlet even looking?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
There is a patrol of Knights of Scarlet who've stopped and are watching the two Blackhearts approach the urchin. Meanwhile, the Blackhearts continue to march towards the child. They raise their swords in the air as you, Vander, watch on. And with an almighty swing, the swords are brought to bear on the urchin.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god.
Vander's such a monster.
There is a scream in the crowd, and finally, the Knights of Scarlet draw their swords and charge. The urchin's body falls to the ground, and his hand involuntarily releases the half-eaten apple, which rolls unevenly along the cobbles, before coming to a dead stop.
Vander retreats into the shadows.
Augustus, Benny, Tock, and Tick, you are still in the Scarlet Keep. Commander Ironsteiger and Captain Kane have gathered the Knights of Scarlet from the near vicinity, and they are preparing their weapons and armor for combat.
Query, Augustus, where should the knights make a stand, ambush? The castle is a defensible position.
Very sensible talk, but I fear we may not have time to gather the Knights of Scarlet and return here. And even if we do, I imagine we'll be spotted, and our chance to return here and defend it may be lost. I think our first duty is to gather all the Knights of Scarlet, lest they be separated and killed.
Acknowledged. Then a gathering point must be selected. We should inform Vander.
Very well.
Tok will ask Captain Kane, and he'll say, Captain Kane, how can word be sent to the Knights of Scarlet in the city? Subterfuge would be ideal.
We are not ones for subterfuge. Previously, we would have used the bell in the Temple of Kale to summon everyone towards that point. There is a bell at the top of the Scarlet Keep that we could ring to draw people towards us.
A loud bell would not satisfy the conditions for subterfuge. May I suggest the services of Benny? Shit, I said his real name. Oh, we abandoned real names a while ago. We know the enemy are moving towards this location.
Then surely ringing the bell to draw people back here would be the best chance of keeping our men alive and giving us a defensible position.
That may be correct, although if a silent message may be sent, they would be able to proceed to the keep without interference. Once concentrated, they would stand a better chance of victory.
What if I ran around and tried to get word to as many as possible? Have you got a token or anything like that that would show that I was your emissary?
You would have to move very quickly, Benny.
Vander would suggest a group of sea urchins. I do not understand how this would be useful.
He draws from a pouch around his belt a circular coin which has the fist symbol.
If you show this to the Knights, they will know that you work for us.
He offers you the coin.
All right, I guess I'll take the coin and be on my way then.
So Tok and Tick will, I would say, follow Benny, but I think probably get back in the bag, give him some protection in case he gets caught by the Blackhearts.
Benny, with Tok and Tick in the bag, heads out of the main door of the keep. Captain Kane addresses Commander Ironsteiger, Augustus, and the rest of the knights. Benny will gather as many men as he can and draw them back to the keep. We will make our stand here. Benny, with Tok and Tick in the bag, makes his way around the city, moving with relative pace. You meet with knights, showing your token and convincing them to return to the keep. As you move on to the third pair, your attention is drawn to the shouts of a fight coming from the market square.
I'd like to kind of try and subtly head towards it, just to kind of see if I can work out what's going on.
2 Knights of Scarlet are fighting the Blackhearts, 2 on 2. It is a breathtaking display of skill from the knights, while their opposition use every trick in the book to keep it even. There's a crowd growing around the fight, and the majority of onlookers are demonstrably on the side of the knights.
So it's just seems to be sort of a small altercation rather than a full-on.
Correct. Vander, from the shadows, you spot the familiar form of Benny, who is watching the fight from a distance.
Okay. I'm going to make my way over to Benny. While I'm doing that, I'm muttering to myself. Vander's quite distraught at how that went.
That man should have misjudged the situation. Should have worked.
He's agitated as he gets to Benny's side. Benny!
Oh, shit. And Benny leaps about 5 feet in the air. You're still invisible, right?
I am.
Yeah, just hearing Vander's disembodied voice.
You essentially heard muttering approach you and then ended with, Benny!
You hear another disembodied voice from your waist saying, Benny, alert. Vander is present.
Talk to. That is well.
What's going on, Vander?
Not a lot of time to explain, I'm afraid, Benny. As you may have worked out, I've been forced to drink the invisibility serum. I heard in the Temple of Kale that the worshippers there planned to annihilate the Knights of Scarlet that very instant, so I was forced to act. As you see, I have, in a manner of speaking, warned the Knights of Scarlet, but I suspect they will still be cut down where they stand unless we are able to provide a response.
We're rounding them up and getting them back to keep to make a stand against the Blackhearts.
Away from the slaughter?
Well, I'm on my way around the city to gather them in. It's where they're going to make their stand.
Should we not assist the knights that are currently fighting? How even does the fight look, by the way?
It's a classic swashbuckling affair, with the heavily armoured and highly skilled knights against the agile and underhanded Blackhearts. An even matchup.
Our assistance could sway the battle.
Ethically speaking, I believe we may have a responsibility here, odd though it may sound from my lips.
How about you 3 step in and I'll keep moving?
I would find that to be acceptable. Tok and Tick are going to start climbing out the bag almost immediately.
I'll meet you back at the keep. And then he keeps moving on his way around the city.
So Benny leaves the area, moving quickly. Tok and Tick are now present.
I'm going to whisper in your ear.
Okay, Tok will say, Vander, I will engage the Blackhearts. Choose your time.
Given our situation, I suggest we end this quickly and snuff this little scene out in order that we can rejoin our main forces at our new rendezvous.
I would find that to be acceptable. So Tok immediately draws from his pouch, Tok and Tick both draw from their pouch, what looks like a kind of like slightly off copy of the flintlock, and Tok starts loading it. So he'll start advancing on the knights, and we'll fire upon them when they get in range.
Blackhearts, distracted by their fight with the knights, you are able to move through the crowd until you have a clear shot at them. Please roll to attack, and then we'll get initiative and...
Right, Tok and Tick are going to do the classic Napoleonic strategy of one volley and then charge. So that will be Tok gets a 14, then a 22 to hit, and then Tick gets a 22 as well.
Please roll for damage.
So 14 didn't hit.
14 didn't hit, no.
9 points of damage, and Tick's does 7 points of damage. 16 total.
Tok and Tick, please tell us the story.
Okay, so whilst the first shot sort of making a slight kind of like not a loud Finlock style sound. It's more like a compressed air. A bit like a paintball gun, actually, yeah. So a series of projectiles from Tok's weapon and one from Tick's sort of like fly out at the night. Most bounce off the armor, but one of them clips one of the knights basically in his visor. You hear a rattling sound as it hits the inside of the helmet several times, and it just like crumples to the floor. Tick and Tok both draw their swords and are ready to charge the remaining Blackheart.
One of the Knights of Scarlet, now free from his duel, pivots and launches into a flanking attack against the remaining Blackheart. He deals 10 piercing damage by stabbing him in the side. Vander, you've just seen Tok and Tick finish off one of the Blackhearts, leaving one remaining.
As much as I'd love to administer the coup de grace, I'm going to move to the side of the child. I kneel down.
I'm sorry, child. You will be remembered as a hero, though.
And I tuck a parchment of the Order of the Heron in his top pocket.
While you're doing that, the Blackheart fires back with his sword, but his attack is easily blocked by the second Knight of Scarlet, who riposts with a stab, but even bloodied, the Blackheart avoids the attack. Tok and Tick.
Yeah, so obviously with the combat swung in our favour, I have the option for subtlety, but I think I'm committed to the action. So Tok and Tick will both, I would say charge. They'll like stomp into melee range and if they can, stab the guy in the back. I know armor has loads of weak points in the back, and they're not above making it a non-fair fight.
And you may attack at advantage as well.
Here come the sweethearts.
Tok's first attack gets a 21 to hit.
Is it? Roll for damage.
For 10 magical slashing damage.
Please tell us the story.
Finding one of the weak points at the back of the knee, Tok just stabs the point in, sort of twists it around, crunching like all of the knee joint, waits for the guard to collapse, and then leaves him for the Knights of Scarlet to do as they wish, because I think the fight's over at that point.
You've Ned Starked him.
Yeah, Tok has Ned Stark, one of the Blackhearts, indeed.
Benny, you've made your way around the streets. As you approach the base of the Temple of Kale, you find 2 Knights of Scarlet who are watching the entrance, as a few worshippers flowing out. You approach the 2 knights. Citizen?
I glance around to make sure there aren't any Blackhearts obviously there, and then I show the emblem and say, get yourselves back to keep. Quick sharp.
This is an order from Captain Kane.
That's right.
As you wish. And they turn on their heels and march north. From the double-doored entrance of the temple, you see a man in black leathers with plate armor over the top approach the top of the steps. He has sweat black hair and neatly trimmed moustache. Accompanying him are 3 beautiful women with pale white skin and swirling black hair.
Fuck no.
Their arms are covered in tattoos and they carry exotic-looking weapons. The 4 make their way down the steps.
I try to make myself extremely unnoticeable as this group head by. Is there sort of a crowd of people? Are there a bunch of onlookers?
The streets are very busy, but there's a palpable tension in the air.
I'm just gonna, like to just sort of mingle with the crowd.
Oh, give me a stealth check at advantage, please.
15.
The man with the moustache stares you directly in the eyes, and they begin to move towards you. Tok, Tick, you're in the town square, and close by Vander, who's just finished applying last rites to the urchin and has laid some advertising on his body.
Tampered with evidence.
Yes, I've turned him into a freedom fighter.
The Knights of Scarlet turn to you, Tok. You're not one of ours. What is happening?
Knights of Scarlet. Commander Kane sends assistance. The Blackhearts are assaulting the Scarlet Keep. He requires your assistance.
And they head north towards the Scarlet Keep.
Tok will say in a quiet voice to Vander, if he makes himself known.
You hear a slither next to you.
Vander, what should our next move be? I have the bag of holding. We could attempt stealth.
Our problem is that the fight is out here, though it sounds as though you're making your stand elsewhere. Leaves us with 2 possibilities. Leave the remaining Knights of Scarlet to be slaughtered in the open, or try to call their forces into the city.
The Scarlet Keep is the muster point for the Knights of Scarlet's plan. If we change the plan, we should inform them.
Would there be a way of calling them into the city?
Indeed, I can shout very loudly.
We're going to have the opposite of Tok's stealth. It's just like every building in the city is going to fall down.
Benny is attempting to send word to the Knights of Scarlet. We could assist Benny in this endeavor.
We must return to the keep and make our stand with where the forces are being mustered, though, on our way back, if we enter or encounter trouble, be prepared to raise the alarm.
I find that to be acceptable. Shall we attempt to gather more Knights of Scarlet on our return journey?
I believe that may be possible, but you would have to stay as you are.
I would find that to be acceptable. Would you like to ride on my shoulders, Vander?
I see no reason why to break convention at this stage, so yes.
Okay, so Tick goes back in the bag. Vander can have a piggyback on Tok, and Tok's going to walk back towards the keep. But like, if he sees any Knights of Scarlet, it's going to make a beeline for them rather than go towards the keep.
Benny, the well-dressed man, who you can only assume is Warden Knox, approaches, flanked by the three women. You are acting suspiciously. And he draws his sword.
Benny twists the ring on his finger, and behind Warden Knox, within the middle of a small crowd of people, a shower of sparks go up. I've cast prestidigitation.
Warden Knox completely ignores the sparks
Excellent news.
and continues to focus his attention on you.
I'm just going to turn tail and leg it.
Goose chase!
Give me an athletics check, please.
Why did I turn tail and leg it? Oh dear. That is 11. Bradley.
Benny, you turn tail and move quickly through the crowded streets to get away. Behind you, Knox begins to shout for someone to stop you as you barrel into people, moving just quick enough to avoid being grabbed. The bustle of the street is silenced by the crack of a whip. You turn to see one of the women is holding a whip which crackles with arcane energy. She spins it around her head and cracks again in your direction. Give me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, 20.
There's a ripple of energy as you duck and weave through the crowded streets, narrowly avoiding the attack. Pushing your way through, Knox and the Sisters of Mercy begin to pursue.
I'm casting Fog Cloud. So I'm trying to kind of cast it behind me.
With a twist of your ring as you run, you mutter the incantation, and a thick plume of fog begins to erupt in the street behind you. At speed, it envelops and engulfs the street-goers, worshippers, and most importantly, your pursuers. You hear screams and shouts from within the cloud as you're able to put some distance between you, Knox, and the Sisters of Mercy.
I am going to hide around the corner and take a breath, and then I'm going to cast Disguise Self, and I am going to transform myself
Into Vander.
No. Vander is another person who's being searched out by these devilish bastards.
Yeah, very much marginal gains being Vander at the moment.
Be a weird way to die exactly the same way.
Yeah. I'm going to disguise myself as the Tiefling Map Maker. He's just a person who I recognise might be noticed as a local.
Emerging from the corner looking exactly like Halfir the cartographer, you're able to seamlessly blend into the chaos in the streets. A few locals give you a nod of acknowledgement, but most are too focused on the fog cloud. And then, from within, emerge Warden Knox and the Sisters of Mercy, heading northwards. You can see from this distance that he's muttering to them, and they're enthusiastically nodding in agreement.
I would like to go on the sort of route that they are taking, ideally on a sort of parallel path, with Missy up in the air, keeping an eye on where they're headed. So I'm sort of staying near enough that I can keep Missy within range and she can see them, but far enough away that I am not observably following them.
Using the eyes of Missy, you can see that they're moving northwards in a direct line through the Small Gods Temple district towards the Scarlet Keep. As their walk turns into a march, more worshippers of Kale, thugs and Blackhearts begin to fall into step behind them. Nox is actively gathering support as they move, and a mob is forming.
I'm going to try and get ahead of them if I can, by trying to shortcut them.
As Halfir, you can move swiftly through the streets, being guided by Missy, making sure to remain ahead of the rabble and out of direct line of sight to Nox. Being closer to them now, you can hear the conversation of some nearby Blackhearts who've just joined. What's going on? Nox responds, "We're marching on the Scarlet Keep. Get everyone. It's time. And we will end it there.
You've been listening to Dice Company's Small Embers, starring Dave Windust as Benny Quez, Alex Morrison as Augustus Zeno, Charlie Blackadder as Vander Finnick, and Harry King as Talk, with Tom Patrick as your Dungeon Master.
The humans of Dice Company would like to thank the following sweethearts for their support. Marshall 001, Marky B, Darcy Thompson, Jenny the War Camel, Stephen Sakura, Nori Gosler, Mickey Arnold, Happy Daddy Scotty, Tika, S.J. Phionics, Richard Ungamus, Rabbi Camel, Team Vander, Paris Pakar, Path Pursuit, Julia Zeno, Shovels, Mama Strange, Queenie, Liz Beckett, Axel Runholm, and Chris from North London.
It feels like it's been ages since the last one, which, as I was saying to Charlie, which also feels like ages since the one before that as well.
Let's face it, we're all old enough that time makes no fucking sense anymore.
Exactly.
Have we even played D&D before?
Alex hasn't.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, we're going to mental health shame Al. Great stuff, everyone. That's not bad. Handed gentry always have.
Handed gentry.
Hello there, hello there.
They always have
Oi, cockalorum.
a little whiskey ready in case they need a victory sip.
Talk in the bag. The sending stone rings.
Okay.
You hear Vander's voice through the sending stone. Fuck me, it's not a mobile phone. Your iPhone goes off. Awesome. Before we
Way
begin,
to go. Number one.
Yeah.
You're the...
lore.
Thanks for listening. Please consider supporting Dice Company on Patreon, where for the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to a whole other show, Extra Roll, as well as an ad-free listening experience. The Dice Company Discord server, along with our socials, can be found on our Linktree in the show notes. If you enjoyed this chapter, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to recommend us to your friends. If you didn't like it, recommend us to your enemies. And we'll see you next time on Dice Company.